This is the Lekker Rugby Pod, only on Megaphone Rugby.
Harry, welcome. You just landed in Cape Town, and lo and behold, the Springbok team has announced. We're still waiting for the press conference and hear the WhatsApp start come flying through. And the only thing I can say is redemption, man. Redemption. What a team.
Yo, I'm here at Groot Constantia, and this is a Groot team. This team is supersized. A week ago, we talked about the speed team, and then we played like we were on speed. It was too much. I told Ben Karpinski when we Lekker Rugby Pod made an appearance on the Real Network, it was like you hire for a wedding and you only hire 3 DJs instead of a preacher and a logistics guy, coordinator, and a DJ. If you have 3 DJs running it, then it's just too much vibe. So this team is much more along the lines of, we're going to throw locks at you until you drown, Australia. We're going to start out with locks. We're going to keep bringing locks on, and then we'll have some more locks. And our bench locks will be Eben, Etzebeth, and Louw de Jager. So I think we want line-out targets. And then our wing, one of our wings is going to be Canan Moodie, who's basically a lock. He's turned into a lock. But no, I think it's interesting. There's some obvious picks here that probably everyone understood. And then there's some interesting ones that send a message.
I asked you last week, when you look at this team, the thing that stands out to you, you said that last week was speed, this week is locks and length. I want to just start about surprises. Who the surprise? Thomas Atoy, I know he was on sort of leave for Bath, compulsory leave. He's suddenly back, never mind in the team, in the starting lineup. What's the thinking behind that?
Okay, so I was thinking about that, and as I walked around in the Winelands just now, and I think Tank, one of the greatest carriers in the Premiership, a gain line carrier, a punishing carrier, not always the best scrummager, technically. Maybe this is saying we really not going to get much glory out of our scrum, even if we should and deserve. But it might be nice at the end to have Wilco and Boan Venter and Marnus to scrum as a very cohesive, same size, same height, power scrum unit. Maybe in the final 20, you can put a game to bed, which we couldn't do a week ago. But starting out, let's have carriers and good hands, guys. Ox, Tank, Marks, all good hands. Nortia, a lock, good hands. So it's like maybe the scrum isn't the first priority, and maybe there's another calculation there that we're going to win the scrums anyway. Even if we don't have the world's best scrummager, Wilco Louw, we don't have to have him, because even if we do have them, as we saw in the clip I posted, if they get the hook out and they feed the ball under someone else's leg and it's out, even if you crumple both loose head and hooker, you might not get a call. You might get it later, but there's only 5 scrums, 6 scrums in the part of the game that matters. Maybe this is going to be a power carry. And then the other thing is the attention to the clean. So Tank, even though he's very heavy, he gets to a lot of rucks. So you have Ox, Marks, and Tank cleaning along with a very hyperactive Ruan Nortia. And RG Snyman, who I pointed out is not only a carrier, but he's a point of difference in that he can offload over Will Skelton. He can circle his arms around a smaller lock like Jeremy Williams. He can be a pivot point in the middle of the field. Instead of raising someone in the air to do a restart, you can just have RG carrying is kind of a restart, because he's so safe with the ball, doesn't get picked off. So then you have your sort of your settling run. And then you go across to one of the most surprising picks, which is Franco Mostert as a big 7. Jean-Luc Dupree, who's a load. He's a serious pile of muscle. He's muscles upon muscles. He's just got muscles for days. And then is it Marco? I think Marco is at the open sider, right?
Yeah.
So that's a very powerful team. I mean, it's an old school team. It would fit very well here at Groot Constantia. You could imagine them, put them in the right clothing. You could almost imagine them being here in 1795, tilling the fields. So that's that opening pack, and it's basically saying, you hurt us a week ago, and now we're going to hurt you. It's not going to be us being pushed back. And also, it's a signal that if you have that pack, that you better put the ball in front of them, and you better not be winging the ball wide to wide with 7-meter, 12-meter rucks differentials. Yes, they can get there, but there's no need with this pack. You just play up the middle. You go up the front door. You walk up to the front door. You kick it in, and then you just smash everything inside. And then when all that's done, then someone out back can run around. This is the plan here, I think. So then who do you pick? Fly off. Was one of the big parlor games this week is who's he going to go with? So it's Handré Pollard, as probably 95% of people thought it might be. If we look back in the future, back at this and say, well, maybe it should have been this way at Ellis Park, and then you have that same team you picked in Ellis Park and put that in Cape Town, maybe it kind of makes more sense. So maybe that's what Rassie was referring to when he said I made a mistake. You can't say I made a mistake and then get mad when someone says, okay, so maybe the mistake was this. Tell us what the mistake was. Was it not telling money enough? Was it not picking the right? I think it's probably a combination of both. Not selecting three DJs instead of a DJ, a Domini, and a wedding coordinator. You had 3 DJs. So maybe this time it's Handré's your sort of straight, let's play it by the numbers, guys. Let's not go crazy. Retain Grant Williams to have that speed factor. And then Willie is your crazy man. He's your DJ. He's your man that can play out the back and he can find flat passes. Really fun to see Colby back in there with Damian de Allende. That's just a solid backline. That backline is not going to bite wrong, read wrong. The one wild card, I suppose, is Canan Moodie on the wing. And there, what I like about that is he's a big target. It kind of reminds me of Limerick, talking to Jake White and saying you could just put the ball on a flat diagonal, not even put air under it. He's probably going to come away with the ball most of the time. We saw early that Australia has trouble on retaining kicks and defusing bombs. So I would imagine that's also a bomb strategy. Start out with a bomb instead of waiting for the bomb. And then you go to the bench and you see the familiar 6-2. So if you bring off Argia, or maybe Ruan goes probably 80, but if you bring off Argia, then you can throw in Louw. If you bring off Mostert, you can bring on Eben Etzebeth. So it's a lock-heavy team. Probably in all that noise. And then you have Wilco, Boan Venter, Manus Manfanaveva. Sasha is the player 23, which will be a very popular pick in Cape Town. We want to see what he does. It'd be nice to see him not only bang over some long distance kicks, but also have a little bit of room to maneuver, maybe in the final 30. Australia does tend to give you room. The problem is that we also gave Australia room. So this team is designed to give them no space, no comfort, no shelter, no refuge. And then all the space is ours, not theirs.
All right. You talked about surprises. To me, the biggest surprise is there's no Cobus Visa. And Franco Mostert, we saw last week, he said, listen, he looked like a bit of a walking wounded. And now he starts at 7. I mean, I know Peter Steph is injured, but wouldn't Cobus Visa maybe have been a better, more natural fit there?
Isn't it a bit curious, Envia, about Cobus Visa and how he's been used? I mean, if we think about what he is, he's a power forward. He plays tight. But he's fine at blindside. But he's been used as a number 8 in this test year. And then right when you think you kind of would need him, he's not used. Yeah, it's very weird. I don't know. Now, we always know that there's, training does matter and what the coaches see in training. It can even matter about sickness or someone not feeling that great. So I hesitate to make any big pronouncements here. If I had to bet, if you make me bet $100 right now and I got to say something, I would say I think the test of Franco Mostert is well underway. Like, just does he have the legs? Does he have the body to get to Australia in 2027 is what I think. And maybe they didn't want to be unfair and say, you haven't played that much. We're throwing you into this thing. Go. Maybe it's more like, let's not only a team that needs redemption, sometimes old players who have never done you wrong and never let you down. Maybe you want to see them have redemption. So I'm gonna choose to read it that way.
No, it makes sense. One thing you said last week about speed. This team is not, it might be bigger and taller, but they're not necessarily slow. I mean, RG can run a bit. Ruan is quite fast. I mean, he's played 7 himself before. And I wanted to ask you, you said, you've got 2 big locks on the bench as well. Ruan maybe moving to 7 and Franco coming off. I mean, you can't have both locks on and if both locks stay on the field, someone has to make way for him. I'm thinking Ruan might move to 7.
Yes, and Ruan probably goes 80. So he's probably your guy in the pack that you tell, like Peter Steph to Toy, like, hey, go 80, so don't go crazy. Don't burn yourself out the first 10 minutes. And maybe the thought there is you bring on the guys at the end where you say you only have to go for 25 minutes, Louw, Wilco. So you can just absolutely empty tanks. It's fine. On the speed factor, I mean, I'm walking around right now. I've been tramping over the hills. It's going to be heavy. Everything that's not on the mountains getting watered from the mountain here. So, just this old rivers coming under here. This whole thing used to be an island. Cape Flats was once basically a channel. So everything's going to be wet. I suppose the thinking there is no one's that quick when it's heavier fields. It's probably going to be raining between 12 and 14 degrees. It'll play more like a game in London.
Right, and then the other thing was last week we saw the Boks kind of hit a wall physically because of probably overtraining or something, and then Sualili leaving them for dead. Do you think that that lead is still going to be in the legs this weekend, or is it now sooner? Did they have enough time to work it out?
It's really curious, isn't it? So I know there's a lot of science behind peaking, tapering, loading. So the timing of that's quite specific. And if the thought, which I believe it was to get ready for Eden Park, then they still might have lead in their legs. But if, on the other hand, there was always this idea that you would get them ready for this game and then able to rest, which is probably what is more close to it, then if you have enough rotation, I mean, 10 changes in the starting lineup is enough rotation where some people are coming on fresh. Cheston Colby, fresh. Damian de Allende, fresh. Tank the Toy, fresh. Nortia, Archie. So you have enough rotation there where it should mitigate that. And then a 6-2 always really helps the starting 8 a lot because they always know in the back of their head, I don't have to go. It's okay. Kwagga gets a run here. I think that's also a statement of faith. I think there's people in this mix where they're just saying to the guys, I really want you to show something. And I to be honest, I cannot really disagree with that. So there should be, it should buy you more than just how are you lately? Johnny come lately. How were you last week? If you've got 5 years, 6 years, 7 years with a squad, I do believe in that. I do think there's also parts like Father Time is undefeated. There are just things that you can see in an aging prop, for example, where they cannot hold the weight of a scrum. Then I think it's fine. It's almost cruel. But yeah, I think an energy guy, Franco Mostert, Kwagga, they really didn't play very well. I don't know how you saw it, but on my rewatch, they looked worse than when I watched it live.
I didn't watch it again because it's too sad. I got too upset. I watched it a little bit and then I got upset and I left it. So I left it to you to tell me what happened. So thanks for that.
I forced myself to. I'm in such a foul mood. Actually, I'm in a terrible mood all week. I've been really aggressive and belligerent to people. I've been unnecessarily confrontative to people in airports and stuff. Maybe I'll be on YouTube soon for another reason. And then I got here and I realized it's just a game. It's one game. And a lot of times when you win a World Cup, everyone points back to a bad game. And they say, look at that one that lost in Ireland that provoked Rassie. Look at that 57-0. Look at that that game in 2018 when Rassie said, I'm going to fire myself if I don't win next week. And I was there in Wellington when we won. And it was one of the most joyful experiences ever. So I think I'm changing my outlook because I do think it's still kind of effed up our year. But I also think, but if we go to Eden Park and win, who's really going to be fixated on this one? Honestly. And if we just bash them this Saturday and then we go to Eden Park and win and we take one of those up north again in Paris or in Dublin, I don't know. I mean, it's always going to be the dog shit game because Rassie said it was dog shit. And so there's a dog shit index. And for the next 20 years, all of us are going to be saying, well, on the dog shit index, it wasn't as bad as Ellis Park in 2025. And don't yell at me, anyone up there, about my language. That's your coach telling it. My coach, your coach, talking nonsense. So he picked that word by design. He wanted that to be the headline, and he wanted to take pressure off his players. And now I think he's picked a team that nobody on this planet or in the galaxy or solar system can bully. Nobody's bullying this team.
No.
And if someone is getting slightly bullied, then they're going to bring the bench on and go, hello, meet my large friend Eben Etzebeth. He's our backup lock today.
Well, talking about the bomb squad, I referred to the dab squib last weekend because it was no real bomb squad. Is this now a proper bomb squad again? 6-2 configuration, some serious, firepower on there. Wilco, Louw, Eben Etzebeth, Louw the Jager. And of course, Sasha Feinberg and Gonzulu for another reason. He's heavy firepower because of his star power, I'll call it that. Is this now a proper bomb squad again, like we're expecting from the Boks?
Yeah, maybe last week wasn't a bomb squad, it was a chom squad. This one's not a friendly bomb squad. It's going to hurt you. It's got malicious intent. But yes, I do think that's true. With Sasha, you also have that magic. What I said was the bomb squad was never one or the other. It was both. It was supposed to be brutal, but also have hybridness. The ability to flow to any place. And Sasha, when you have guys like Sasha and you have guys like Canan Moodie, that's a lot of versatility right there already. When you have Billy, you can do a lot of mix and matches. And anyway, when you're on ruck 3 or you're on phase 5, you don't have to be that conventional about who's standing where anyway, right? The first receiver could be Billy for a while, and Handré could be number 12, or you could have Sasha sneak in there sort of at a 13. So there's lots of plays on attack. On defense, usually you square up what it is, but on attack, you can start throwing looks. And I think we didn't throw them enough looks. Obviously, in retrospect, at 22-0, somebody didn't tell somebody to calm the F down and say, play like you're up. But I think maybe the real lesson from that is in test rugby against anybody, even the 6th, 7th to 8th ranked team, whatever the Australians really are, you don't really get to take your eye off the ball. There's no time for you to relax. And I think this is definitely a serious team that knows, I think there's energy there, there's intent. Yeah, I mean, could there be one or two things I do differently? Maybe the Mostert pick is a sentimental pick. Maybe we could do something different there. I back this team to win by the margin that we were supposed to win in the first week. And for the rest of the year, the dog shit game is basically the teaching system, the curriculum, the outline for everyone in practice. When anyone gets even remotely tiny bit vinchat, you just go to the tape and you go, up, let's look at this. Let's watch about 7 minutes of us standing under the poles, breathing hard and looking confused. So, yeah, maybe this is the best thing that could happen. I don't like it. I want to punch something. I want to punch a tree. But maybe it's the best thing that could happen.
Leave the trees alone, Larry. They did nothing to you, even though they're in Cape Town. Next year, we're going to talk about...
What are you turning a hippie now?
Next year, we're going to talk about the Harry Index, the first half of any episode, and then the second half, we'll talk about the dog shit index. So we have to compare something. I like this new thing that you invented. Last question. You mentioned about there was nobody in last week's test that said, listen, guys, calm down, do what you're supposed to do, go back to what you're good at. And Jesse was one of those people, Jesse Kriel. And now this week, he's captain again. You mentioned to me this week in one of our many conversations, we should maybe go back to a backline captain. And Rassie's agreed with you. Just your thoughts on Jesse as the captain and in the backline quickly.
It might be sight, might be vision. You like a loose forward captain in some ways because he's right next to the referee anyway. He can see what the referee's seeing at the ruck. But in a very, very quick ruck game and a very no ruck game, the Boks had no rucks for a while. There was attacks where no one even formed a ruck. What was really missing was the ability to see the shape of kick space, where it was, to minimize that. It was 11-1 was the pass to kick ratio. It's bizarre. It's twice as much as the French ever do. They do 6 passes for every 1 kick. We were doing 11. And, Ox, who's a big analysis guy, he was like, well, what are we doing? Like, what did we do? Why did we do that? I mean, I joked in our WhatsApp group, our distinguished WhatsApp group, which is getting more and more distinguished by the day, that it's like we didn't have enough empathy for our forwards. I mean, what are you doing making Louw the Jager run around like a chicken with his head cut off? Let the ball be in front of him and take the air out of it. So, yeah. Maybe that's the thing. The other thing is I think they trust Jesse on his ability to read a game. And I think that might also be a nod to the idea that Jesse felt bad and he took a lot of blame on himself. So this is another one where you say, okay, Franco, Kwacha, Jesse, my senior guys who kind of stuffed up, put it right. Show me that you know how to do it.
I like that. I think you're right. Yeah, no, Willie, I think he thought he was going to be coach for the rest of the season. Now suddenly he's back in the starting lineup. That to me was also a bit of a surprise. We called it. We said Handré and Willie should play together because they've played together well. They do it well together and everything else. But still, a little bit of a surprise with those, two superstars in the backline, Damian and Rassie. Okay, anyway, you were in Cape Town, so of course
cheers, man.
the signal was dodgy. So I'm not going to say anything about that. If you were up here, it would have been much better. Because the air is probably lighter and less oxygen or something, but Wi-Fi is okay, yeah, sometimes. Thanks, Harry. Let me get this out. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
This is the Lekker Rugby Pod, only on Megaphone Rugby.